Right, Peter, first question. You made your debut at the age of just 14 for Sittingbourne, subsequently moved to QPR and Watford, where you did not make any first team league appearances. Did you feel that your chance of being a professional footballer had gone when you left Watford at the age of 21?
No, I didn't think it had gone. I was always very confident in my ability, and it was just unfortunate because when I signed for Cambridge, actually Watford then didn't want to let me go. Right. They wanted to, sign me back on again. In those days, you got a little bit of boot money. You know what I mean, when you signed, and I wasn't going to give that back.
Right, fair enough. Okay, you received an offer to play in Australia.
Yes.
But chose to come to Cambridge United in 1964.
Yeah. It was a bit before then. It was actually when I was leaving QPR, before I went to Watford, I could have gone to Australia.
Right.
Decided.
Okay.
Family here, being a young man, too far away.
Sure, yeah. What made you sign for United, and what were your first impressions of the club?
My first impressions was that I was very impressed with the setup. I was told by Roy Kirk that it will be full-time professional, because normally in the Southern League then, there was a lot of part-time teams, and he said no, we're going to have a dozen players or thereabouts on professional terms, so you will train every day. So I was very impressed with the setup.
Yeah. Seems to remain the same now actually. Players that come all seem to be quite impressed with the setup. So it's something that's run through the club. What do you remember of your first league match? A 1-1 home draw with Hastings on the 22nd of August.
Without reading the article that I've got in my scrapbook, I can't really say that I remember a great deal about it.
Okay. You were initially a left winger.
Yes.
But switched to the middle when, was it Dennis Randall or Derek Randall?
Derek Randall.
When Derek Randall became injured, and you scored a hat-trick in the 4-1 win at Bedford in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Where you were cheered off by the supporters.
Correct.
That must bring back some happy
memories. It was
a
great day, absolutely great day. It was in the first sort of, 20 odd minutes. We just blasted them away, and they could never come back from it. And from that, I don't know if it comes down further, but from that, I got offers from Bedford, to go and play for them.
Of course, yeah.
So I did when I was at the end, when I finished some of the other clubs.
Great. Okay.
But also at the end of that match, all the supporters came on and they cheered us off, as you said.
Yeah.
But that night, I think there was some sort of dinner. Back at Cambridge, Player of the Year or something, and of course it made it a fantastic night.
With the win,
with the win there.
Yeah. Your teammates must have been a big help, such names as Johnny Hass, Graham Atkinson, Matt McVitie, Billy Day.
Billy Day came from Middlesbrough.
Who did you get on best with, on and off the pitch?
On and off the pitch, I would have said Rodney Slack. Rodney and I were quite close because we were at QPR together.
Okay, yeah.
Rodney was a good chap. Bill Tedds, who played fullback. I would have said sort of the other ones I would have knocked around with Wes Morn. Wes Morn would be the other. The others we used to train, have fun, but when training finished, it was not a social life. Yeah.
Okay.
Wes Morn came from a big club, did he?
Wes Morn came from Reading.
Reading, yeah.
He left Southampton and went to Reading, and then Reading found out that he used to have to wear contact lenses. They didn't know that at the time, and they said, "Oh, we bought a blind player," He then come to us from Reading. He was a staunch Salvation Army lad. Nice chap, nice attitude.
So his eyesight never hampered him anyway?
His eyesight never hampered him.
No.
Very skillful player, didn't score many goals.
Okay. You scored a second hat-trick 2 months after the Bedford win, 4-1 again at Hastings.
Yes.
What do you think was your best position?
I think my best position was a centre forward because I would put myself around. Skill levels, I would say that my grandchildren today can do things with a ball that I couldn't do, you know. But effort-wise, and you know, if I played 90 minutes and they said, well, you're going to have to play another 90 straight away, I could do it.
Yeah.
I was fit, I trained hard, trained well, and you know, I knew I could put a bit of pace in if I wanted to. Yeah.
So you enjoyed centre forward.
So I preferred centre forward. Yeah.
Okay. United took part in the Southern League, the Eastern Professional Floodlit League, the Midland Floodlit League, and numerous cups, meaning that in your first 2 seasons at the Abbey you played in 60 first team games per season. Was that very tiring? I'm sure it was. And do you think that had an influence in United only finishing 11th and 10th during that time?
Quite possibly. There was too many leagues going on with a small playing staff, as it was, compared to today's playing staffs. You know, you were playing more games than you should have done. Although, having said that, a coach at QPR, when I was a young lad, said a professional footballer should be able to play every day, a game every day. Because he trains every day, he should be able to play a game every day. And I took that on board and I thought, yeah, I mean, everybody else goes to work, they go to work every day.
Yeah, true enough.
So your game is, or your work is playing football, so therefore you should be able to play a game every day.
Who was the coach he told you?
We called him Archie, but his name was Jimmy Andrews.
Andrews.
Oh, Archie Andrews, yeah.
And we called him Archie because of his name. But he was only tiny, he was smaller than me, you know, very short, 4 foot nothing. But
of course they look at things differently these days, where you would need 2 days recovery before, or in between games and so on.
Oh,
So
they
it's a
wouldn't
different
play the
attitude
amount of
and-
games today that we played. But the game is quicker
Yes.
these
that's for
days.
sure.
I mean, they're fitter, they're more skillful. Yes, the equipment is advanced because everything, as the equipment gets better, the boots and the balls, and it always gets better. Therefore, it makes it easier. But yeah, I would say
That's an interesting question I can throw in about boots. What do you think of today's football boots compared to the ones that?
Well, I've got a pair
I used to
outside that
wear.
I will show you in a minute, and you can take them for your museum because none of my children want it. Today's boots is more like a slipper,
Yeah.
and that's why you get a lot of metatarsals injuries.
Did you know what a metatarsal was in your day?
No, I have to say I didn't. I did have a broken toe. In the articles will say it there, and they used to freeze it at full, you know, beginning. Got my boot on because I was having a good season, scoring a lot of goals. They wanted me to play regularly, so they would freeze it with the ice cold stuff,
Yeah.
spray, and then at half time off come the boot, freeze it again for the second half.
Right.
But that season when I scored 31, it wasn't a case of I wonder if I'll score today. It was I wonder when I will score today.
That's a great
That was an attitude
to
I
go
went
out
out
with.
with.
Yeah, definitely.
Super.
Yeah. Just going on from the footwear, you've just showed us a clip of when you played against Corby and won 4-0 on a snow-covered pitch, and just tell us about the footwear that you wore that game.
We wore basketball boots. Roy Kirk went out and bought a load of basketball boots, all the right sizes obviously. And he said, we trained in them once, and he said, I think these are going to be, for the icy pitch, the best. And they were good. They were very, very good, very stable. Rodney Slack was the only one who wore boots. He wouldn't change from his boots.
Excellent. And that, of course, that pitch you would never play on these days because it was that hard and snow-covered, but
Yeah.
interesting.
And you would have to play with the orange ball.
Of course, yeah.
Because, you know, a
Because
white
of the snow.
ball or any other would not show up.
Yeah. What was it like playing in the floodlight leagues, or the floodlit leagues, where the crowds were smaller?
Well, my friend who I'm going to go and play tennis with this afternoon will tell you that I perform when there's a big crowd. We can be playing tennis and I'll be playing average. But if somebody comes in the court and wants to see what because I play real tennis. It's a different to
Okay.
lawn tennis.
Yeah.
And I see them there watching. I start to put it on. It's a natural thing. I
You
can't
still
help
got
it.
that?
Whenever somebody's watching, I will perform to probably my best of my ability. Whereas when you're playing in front of, say, 35 people at Corby
Yeah.
on a cold winter's night, you don't have a lot of incentive.
So right. So did you find that your goal scoring prowess in that case was less in the floodlit leagues because of that? Do you think, or?
I've never
Maybe-
kept an analysis
No.
whether I scored less in those games or in league games or cup games. I don't know, but I would
Obviously, you're a big
I would
game
assume that that's probably the best way
Yeah.
to look at it.
player. Okay. In your second season at the Abbey, which was 1965 to 66, you played in a variety of positions:
Yeah.
left back, left half, winger, even sweeper in a game at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
How did you find all that chopping and changing?
I didn't mind because you're a professional footballer. You were, paid to play football, and I felt that you should be able to play most positions.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be a goalkeeper, obviously, but I think you should be able to play most positions. Sorry. But I'll just tell you one funny story. When I was at QPR, very young lad, and I played left wing there, and I played centre forward there. They also played me at left back. And it was down at Swindon against Swindon Reserves. And this was QPR Reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And the winger was Mike Summerby.
Right. Yeah.
And he had just obviously come back from injury and he was getting back in through the reserves. And we went out there and we beat them 2-1. I played a blinder. He never had a kick. Alex Stock, when we finished, he said, "Peter, I think we found your position." So he played me left back the next week against West Ham reserves, and there was a chap called Brian Deere, and it's in his book, Brian Deere, and he gave me the chasing of my life. We lost 7, he scored 5, and Alex Stock said after that, "I think we put you back in the ball."
What sort of manager was Alex Stock?
Wonderful man, absolutely wonderful man, a gentleman.
Yeah.
So he was lovely. Yeah.
You were injured in a 5-0 defeat at Hereford,
Mm.
but still carried on as a limping passenger, as there were no substitutes then.
Yeah.
It seemed to be a fairly common thing for injured players to stay on the pitch if they could. Do you think that was a good idea, or did it just make the injuries worse?
Well, you saw less of the ball because they put you out on the wing anyway to keep you out of trouble. Certainly we wouldn't be putting you in defence if you were injured. So they would move you out if you were a defender and you got injured. You wanted to keep as many players on the pitch as you could, and therefore, if there was nobody to come on as a sub, you
You just had to go and stand on the wing,
yeah, go with it.
Okay, also in that game at Hereford, which you were just speaking about, the Cambridge Evening News accused you of carrying too much weight, but the manager Roy Kirk denied it and said that you were a big build and fully capable of carrying it. How easy did you find it keeping fit?
At the latter stage is very hard. In the early days, 16, 17, 18, once I went past 21, 22, it did become harder. And as I said earlier off camera, it was always, I was the weightiest person or put the most weight on through the summer period. And therefore I had to train very hard to get it back, to playing weight. So, a bit harsh, but he did put an apology in the Cambridge Evening News, which was fine.
Well, that was nice.